Alrighty guys, what is going on? You got Techno here, and I'm back with another league game for the DGBA. And this time the theme is going to be all about how you can kind of win your games before you even enter the battle. Now, this is very important, I think, in this generation. With the way that the new mechanic works, terrestrialization, a lot of games will be won before the game even starts, and you kind of have to see exactly the mons in front of you and kind of know what is going to happen, like be able to foresee specific scenarios, and that would be very, very nice for you. It's always been very nice. That's actually just kind of a nice rule of thumb to have for any Pokemon game you're playing, any generation. But anyways, so you'll see that I actually ended up getting a Weavile on my team. It was very generously traded over to me for a kilowatt roll. So with that, I was able to make a couple of drops as well. You might see them on the screen right now. And here's my opponent's team this week. Now, my opponent I only knew from the couple of team tours. Now, I never actually had fought Pyronox himself, but I just seen a couple of his games. He seemed to be a decent opponent, and at this point, he's in a couple of the top divisions of the league. So I thought it would be still a nice game to kind of try my best, as all games are. But you guys will see I brought a Weavile, very nice for this game. Before, I was kind of struggling with the matchup, but Weavile definitely opened up a hole in his team, I think, just at team preview, so I instantly brought that. My Lilligant set, I'm running a Tera Type, which will be nice to hit the Slowking. You guys may or may not see it in the battle. Other than that, I'm running coverage for his team. And then I've also got Great Tusk. This is a more Spadef set. This was in case his Spectrier was going to come. I brought a Rapid Spin set with knockoff. I needed to Rapid Spin for sure, and I needed Stealth Rocks up. This was my best bet of getting Rocks up besides maybe Mew. But the thing is, Mew is kind of easy to take advantage of. That's just kind of how I feel about it sometimes, especially versus guys like Meowscarada. Like, Mew is easy to take advantage of, so I didn't end up bringing it. I ended up bringing a defensive Great Tusk with Rocks instead as my hazards. I have a Scarfed Illusion Zoroark. Now, the thing about this guy is I only wanted him for a couple reasons. One was in case he brought the Garganackle, I needed a trick. I wanted to be able to trick a Scarf on the Garganackle because that thing can get out of hand. Luckily for me, my opponent has two interesting Terra users. They're not bad by any means. He's got Dugtrio, which gets like a superpowered Earthquake off, and then he's got Glastrier, which is very good stats, and surprisingly does a lot of work with its Terra moves. But the thing is, that luckily means he's not going to be a Tera type, Garganackle, so that is very nice for me. And then next up, I'm going to be having a dual screens Grimmsnarl, and that's just very nice because, dual screens Prankster. No parting shot because he does have a Zapdos Galar, which has the Defiant, so I can't parting shot that comfortably, which, by the way, is the second reason for my Zoroark, being that it's able to block Brick Breaks, so I can just sack that thing off if need be, or if I'm fearing a Brick Break, because he doesn't have Defog on his team, and so that means that we get up hazards and we get up our, our screens. Because I didn't really need spikes, that was kind of overkill versus his team and what I was trying to do. And then I've got the star of the show, a Quiver Dance substitute Volcarona. And I am Terra Steel on this thing because I was trying to make it so that if I'm behind a sub, he can't break me with Psyshock. If I get up a +1 special defense, he can't break with Psyshock or Sludge Bomb or Flamethrower after a certain point. If he ran Body Press, that's just unfortunate. But I didn't think that was going to come. And then he actually also is able to take a Brave Bird from Zapdos, which would have been nice in a lot of situations. It's just nice to have. It'll come in handy, you guys will see. Anyways, let's get into how I want to play this battle. So right off the bat, I am going to lead off with a Weavile, and his team is very interesting, by the way. Let me preface that by saying no Spectrier, and he's definitely got Trick Room here. That's what this is telling me right here. This is for sure Chilly Reception into Glastrier, and then you're trying to get off some Trick Room shenanigans. So you want to make sure that that's not going to get too out of hand. He's going to go for a Body Slam turn 1 because I figured that there's no reason to really keep my Zoroark. For 1, the illusion is fine to get rid of because the fact that his Garganackle is not around. And for 2, I'm also thinking he's either going to click Close Combat or U-Turn. Brave Bird makes little sense here. So it does actually click U-Turn, and I don't know how much damage that did, but it seems it did a lot of damage actually. Like maybe that's banded honestly, but either way, I decide here, you guys will see, to just sack off my Zoroark. If he was Scarfed, I want to know that. If he was Sucker Punch, I want to know that. But it turns out he's not Scarfed, and he's actually Acrobatics. He's going to turn to the Flying type with this Protean, and he will kill me. And the thing about that is, that pretty much tells me that he should, in fact, be a no-item set. I didn't calc. Maybe he is just that strong with 55, but I assumed he was no-item. Always calc. That's definitely a bad habit of mine, but, yeah, you know, if you're, like, worried about a timer, then sometimes you just don't want to calc. Sometimes it gets you out of the momentum of the battle. People understand what I mean. I go into this guy. I'm actually adamant, but he's got to think I'm faster no matter what. He probably is adamant himself because of the way his speed tiers work, but he reveals to be a defensive Gyarados, so I decide, okay, if you're defensive, I'll just go into my defensive Grimmsnarl and use you as fodder to set up my set of my screens. And here I'm going to get up a Reflect, and on this turn, basically, if I set up, it's obviously autopilot with screens, Grimmsnarl, you're going to want to set up another light screen, your second screen, and then you're going to want to act accordingly. I don't have my Zoroark around right now, which means basically I can't afford to do exactly that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to read a switch into the Zapdos, and I'm going to click the play rough here. So very good play on my part, because that means that the screens are going to stay up for the rest of the game. And that was absolutely a hard read. Now the thing is, suppose he did decide to stay in, I don't lose much anyways. If he goes Slow King, it's also fine, because guess what? I'm still setting up these ridiculously broken moves, Reflect and Light Screen. I just have to make sure that I cover the switch to Zapdos. So either way, Play Rough was definitely my move there, which means he might have made a very risky move going right into the Zapdos there, but it's alright. I decided to go into this thing, just scouting what's going to happen. As a Trick Room comes out, once I see Trick Room, I'm like, okay, if this thing is very offensive and it clicks Psychic versus me, I will die. I don't want to risk that. I'd rather go into my Grimmsnarl and scout. Instead, he will Chilly Reception, and this is very good for me. It tells me right off the bat that there's two moves that he has, which makes it so that he is no longer a threat to my team. Trick Room and Chilly Reception. If he were to have like Body Press, that would be really annoying because it would be able to break my Volcarona sub at +1. If you were to have a Flamethrower, I mean, he still could have these moves, right? But if you were Calm Mind, he could beat my Volcarona 1v1. But he'd have to have Slack Off too. With those moves, he couldn't be Calm Mind, Slack Off. He'd have to be Calm Mind and then one move that probably could not break my Volcarona sub after a certain point. Because he would not run Psyshock versus a team with 2 darts. So, Slow King is showing to be borderline useless. However, I do still have to make sure that I'm not using my Terastallization willy-nilly, because my Terastallization is the key to hitting me with my Lilligant. Otherwise, I cannot do that. So he's going to go Glastrier here, and I decide I'm behind a Reflect. Let's go for a Thunder Wave here. Let's just try to stop this from getting off turns, and fortunately that does happen. It is Thunder Wave. I mean, that is kind of just how it works. You guys will see. The way that my damage works too in my defensive set, I am actually just going to chew his hits pretty well. So I'm stalling out Trick Room, so I feel very comfortable here. I'm like, okay, very soon I'll be able to get up my Stealth Rocks, and then I'll be able to start coming in with my Sweepers. At this point, I don't want to get up my Sweepers or try to go into them until we get Stealth Rocks up because of the Dugtrio. Dugtrio with a Sash can stop either of my Sweepers, I believe, so I didn't want to fuck with that at all. Instead, I'm going to just stay in versus this guy, click Play Roughs, and it's fine. He's still a Terastallization capability, so I figured he'd probably be Water or Rock or something. I wasn't thinking about what he actually was going to be, which you guys will see soon. Try to see if you can guess before we get to that point, but he's going to go for Trick Room here. With a Light Screen up, I decide, okay, this is my opportunity to go right into my my Great Tusk and fire off my Stealth Rocks, and this is because he basically can't really kill me. I don't think he's going to have an offensive move to whoop me, and besides, my HP on this guy is really not that important at this point. I don't need it for anything too much, so I'm just going to, but either way, like, I think I decided to keep it healthy just because it was healthy, and because of the fact that I just simply could not really hit it, and I was -1. So I'm going to go into my Grimmsnarl, and I think I used this turn to try to set up a Reflect, and I do fortunately get up the Reflect. I didn't get parried there, and I do actually live because of the Reflect, which is very nice. And I think I get off a Thunder Wave here, so that is going to be very sweet for me before I die. So I got very lucky with the turns that I got parried, so we take those, absolutely. And now I believe is a turn that I'm just going to go right into my Weavile, because I decided, okay, well, he could have Roar. This is another, if you guys watched my battle last week, I didn't remember that Landorus got Rock Polish is no longer a move that I could have. This was another scenario kind of like that. The Gyarados is no longer able to use the, what's it called? The Roar on me anymore. So he had Dragon Tail, he told me after the game. So I probably could have gone into my Volcarona and started clicking Dragon Dance or Quiver Dance, and I would have been fine. But then again, I would have had to Terrasilize do that, and it would have been very early. I think this was my right play overall. Get off the damage so that I can come in with my Volcarona later and end up defeating it. But he does end up sacking his Gyarados here, which is fine. I decided if anyone was going to get parried, it was going to be my Weavile. Yeah, it's kind of annoying to have it so that it might lose a turn. However, I can Ice Shard 2 of these guys, and the other guys I outspeed, so it's totally fine. Glastrier is going to come in with no item, and I go right into my Volcarona, because with Reflect I can live any hit. And I still have my Lilligant in the back, which is looking very good to win the game, until he turns into a flying type, and I'm like, ooh, that's very annoying actually. That means that I'm very happy that I have this thing paralyzed, because otherwise it has a lot of leeway versus my team. I think on this turn, expecting a Terra Blast, with my Reflect up, I do click a Quiver Dance here as he goes right into the Slow King, and I think I'm going to sub here. So nice on my part, because with the Quiver Dance up, I am pressuring him to switch or do something. He has to take action, and there's really no scenario here where he doesn't end up losing a Pokemon, honestly. Just because of the way that Quiver Dance and Volcarona works, honestly, plus my Terrestrialization. So Bug Buzz is going to come out there. He doesn't have Calm Mind. I did consider running Quiver Dance Whirlwind for a Calm Mind Slow King, because that would have been the only way he could beat me with like a Calm Mind Psyshock. And if I did end up using Terrestrialization here, then my Lilligant would no longer be able to use it, so I had to make sure that this thing beats Slowking 1v1. I didn't end up bringing that. Luckily, he didn't end up bringing Calm Mind. I kind of misplayed here around the, I guess, turns of Trick Room, along with the fact that, that the Dugtrio is still around. I definitely misplayed here. I end up basically losing my Volcarona for no reason. Or I end up losing momentum on the sub and the turns for no reason. But I do decide I was just going to my Great Tusk here. I am lucky here because he doesn't turn out to be a, substitute set versus me. And if he is, he's not clicking it. But I knock off there, and unfortunately, he's just Terra Blasting. If he was substitute, then I definitely completely misplayed on that turn. Sorry, I just realized I was skipping turns. If he was definitely a substitute set, I definitely misplayed, and I should have clicked sub. But I wasn't sure. For some reason, I thought the Dugtrio might be able to like outspeed me because he might have been scarfed, or whatever. I'm trying to remember exactly. Like, was it on Trick Room that turn? I think that, or yeah, I thought he was gonna be able to like underspeed me. I would have wasted a substitute if I clicked sub that turn, but yeah, and then that meant he would have gone first. But luckily here he doesn't click sub. I'm able to go into this guy, and I don't have to go for Terrestrialization on my Lilligant with substitute para shenanigans, because I am able to fortunately not get parried, so that's good. Now we can see I'm kind of in the end game situation now, but here's the thing. I, in my mind, am like, okay, well, I win this game no matter what, because what's going to happen here is he's going to click Acrobatics, and I am going to click Quiver Dance and win the game. Now, if he knocked off there, this would have been a bad play, and still kind of might have been a bad play, but honestly, why did I do it? Why did I know he was going to click Acrobatics? It's pretty simple, because both of my guys get hit by it. And when both your guys get hit by it, they're going to click it most of the time. So, instead of fearing a knockoff and going for a Bug Buzz, I'm going to make the baller move, and instead I'm going to go for a Steel Terrestrialization and click the Quiver Dance. Now if he clicked knockoff there, then that would have been a bad move, but also he could have gotten burned, but still it would not have been the best move for me. Still, it is going to work out, and Volcarona is going to pick up 4 kills that game. So I did misplay those turns with the Dugtrio. Luckily, my paras were not out of hand, and I do need to kind of take account for the fact that bulky Terrestrialization mons are kind of hard to account for in a lot of scenarios. But this is he kind of ended up getting the bested of, or the better taken out of him. I don't fucking know what to say, but that's what happened at the end of this game by Volcarona, who picked up basically 4 kills, right? Yeah, he destroyed the entire fucking team. So that's a good game, and yep, more broken Terrestrialization gameplay, and this is one of the best Terrestrialization users, so hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be back with another one next week, and happy holidays, peace.